Hi everyone, I'm Victor, and today with me are my colleagues Glenn and Janine. We also had another member, Antonia, but she isn't with us today. Sadly, she moved jobs several weeks ago. We also want to give a mention to our mentor, Adam Skoll, who helped us at several stages of our project. So our project is titled Reducing Travel Times to Treatment for Cardiac Patients in Southeast England. And this whole idea of moving care closer to home has been quite a high priority for many NHS commissioning bodies for a while now. It sort of started back during the 5-year forward view. And through this reduction of travel times for patients, it can improve many aspects of healthcare delivery. For example, patient satisfaction improved cost savings and financial spend to health outcomes. Initial scoping for our project initially focused on all cardiac activity, but we later honed this more specifically to its cardiac valve procedures in the Kent and Medway CCG region. And Dan's already talked a little bit about it already, but we've built our presentation in Streamlit, which is a very powerful tool, and we recommend it to anyone. It's very accessible, and for anybody familiar with R, it's sort of the equivalent of an R&D Shiny combination.
So we use Routino, which was an open source road network routing library based on OpenStreetMap. And the important thing to note about Routino is that it identifies the quickest route based on real roads and considering road type, not just distance on a map. So here we've got a summary of the mean travel times nationally based on the Routino data, and we can see a mean travel time of 36 minutes and a median of 27 minutes. So we've got a chart here below which shows, you can see that the rural areas have the longest travel times, and then the areas with the cardiac centres seem to have the least travel times. We also plotted this on a chart like this, and you can see that there is kind of a correlation between the population density and the travel times, with London being on the right with a large population density, and Cumbria and Cornwall top left. In terms of Kent and Medway, they appear to have a much higher travel time based on its population density. So their population density is the third biggest based on 21-22 data, and the travel times look to be slightly higher than we would expect.
Okay, so our project is about looking at what are the options, how we might reduce travel times if we have additional sites or sites available within the area. Currently, the Kent and Medway patients are overwhelmingly going into London, in particular the two sites here at St Thomas's and King's. And so we look at what would happen if we had other sites at 7 other possibilities within the area. And these are the locations which have an existing adult critical care unit, so would be suitable for consideration. Travel times at present show, so here's the national median time of 27 minutes, which is a sort of threshold which we're using for consideration here. At present, the times are overwhelmingly greater than that. 98.7% of journeys currently are greater than that. We can look at how those travel times are distributed geographically across Kent here. So we're seeing times 90 minutes plus over here in the east, and quite a bit lower where we're closer to London. And it's just this small area here where we currently have travel times which are less than the national median. So what our project is about really is seeing what happens if we have additional sites. And so in the background here, we can recalculate the minimum travel times. The Python code in the background is doing all that. I'll just zoom. So here we're looking at if we have an additional site at Darrant Valley in Dartford, and comparing what would happen if we had an additional site in Tunbridge Wells. So for Darrant Valley, this is taking the median travel time quite close to the national median, but not quite there. Less of an impact here for Tunbridge Wells. The new travel times here, so we're still looking at 70 minutes plus for a few journeys over here in the Far East, and the darker areas here where it's been reduced to much less. And the impacts we can see is much greater across the north here for this particular additional site here. And if we put the site in Tunbridge Wells, then there's a much bigger impact here in the southwest and very little impact up here close to London. And these are the areas here where we have the site would successfully reduce the travel times to less than the national median. And we can consider each of those options against a number of different metrics here. So in particular, how many patients would have their travel times reduced to less than the national median, or what the new maximum time would be, and some others. And all the options are ranked out of the possibilities here. And from these, we see that the Darrant Valley option would be a better option in those cases. And we can add in some extra sites as well and recalculate. So I'll put in Canterbury for the first one and add on William Harvey and Ashford for the second. And so this recalculates all of the journeys, choosing the minimum. And see, adding Canterbury here does take our travel time less than the national median here. Adding Ashford here doesn't quite take it to that threshold level here, but it's very close. And again, we can see what the travel times would be. So we've still got a few 50-minute journeys from the south here, or up here in the east. And lots of big impacts here on the east where we have the longest times, and across the southeast. And here we're seeing the much bigger areas where we would have the travel times less than the national median. And again, we get the ranked comparisons on all of those metrics, and we can see that Darrant Valley plus Kent and Canterbury is a better option in those. And we can look at any of the options we have available here and recalculate as much as we like. And let's have a look at the conclusions from this.
Great. So in terms of the conclusions, we analyzed the best configurations in terms of improved travel times. We looked at combinations of a new single solo site and 2 additional sites. And what we found is that with only 1 additional site, that the best one will be placed at Maidstone Hospital. So if you look at the density plot here of travel times, we would have a reduced median travel time from 55 minutes to 25 minutes, which you can see from the movement of the blue vertical line to the orange vertical line. So it's very significant. And you can see how it impacts specifically in each LSOA in the maps below. And it's quite noticeable how travel times are reduced for literally 100% of kind of Medway patients based on prior secondary care activity. And if you look at the our final Cloudbreath map, then the travel times are now for 60% of kind of Medway patients below the national median based on prior activity. We have a mean travel time reduction down to 33 minutes. The total travel distance reduction will be around 120 kilometers, and the new maximum travel time would be only 60 minutes when it was up to 2 hours previously. So for 2 additional sites, the optimal configuration would be 1 for Maidstone Hospital and 1 for Canterbury Hospital. There's still a bit of a change from 55 down to around 20 minutes, but the change isn't as great as just having a single solo site at Maidstone Hospital. So you can see how there's now 1 additional cardiac valve center, 1 in sort of like the center left of Kent, and 1 in center right. Again, travel times will be reduced for 100% of Kent and Medway patients based on prior historic activity. But what's probably the most significant now is if you look on the final map, then travel times are now below the national median for just over 85% of Kent and Medway patients, which you can see in the darker blue LSOAs. But there are still some regions, and particularly around South Kent, for example, which still remain slightly above the national median. And now we have a mean travel time reduction of around 40 minutes. The total travel distance reduction will be around 135 kilometers. And the new maximum travel time is now down to 45 minutes. So there is a slight change for having 2 additional sites, but we've shown that even with just one single new site, and that's already quite a significant factor in our metrics, which we had a look at. So also the applications for this method using Routino, it's not just limited to heart valve procedures. You just need the right data, which is spatially labeled. That's it. Thank you. And we'd also like to give some acknowledgement as well to everyone, to the HSMA team who've assisted us, and also particularly the baritons as well, who helped to disseminate our work to the wider Southeast commissioning region.